Yesterday I had the unfortunate experience of uh, having a confrontation on Facebook with a guy called Eric Gajewski. He's one of these Catholic commentators you see popping up around the Catholic sphere. And I generally like to listen to these commentaries, and if there's anything on YouTube or if there's talks put up when I'm in the car, I'll generally use the time to listen to different Catholic commentators, people who have taken the time to study the faith and to offer an opinion and a view or an investigation into something. It can be very interesting, and anyone who loves the faith, like I do, I like to listen to what other people have to say about the current crisis in the church, because yes, there is a crisis in the church. There is no doubt about that. So Eric runs Trad Cat Night, and he offers his opinions, his investigation, his analysis, which I applaud him 100% for that. I think it's great to see Catholic men out there loving their faith, trying to bring people to the faith, and trying to restore the faith. I think it's laudable. And so Eric, if you're listening to this, and I'll send you the video later, Eric, kudos to you. Praying for you. Hope your apostolate goes well. But you posted on the 10th of April about the Carmelites of the Holy Face of Jesus, because they are looking for some money. I don't believe you live in Ireland, but I do, and I followed these sisters for a number of years. And they have had various fundraising activities. And, my heart goes out to these sisters, but let's just analyze some of the facts here. Okay. Sister Irene has had, various attempts to found this monastery. She's had different women come and go over the years. She has raised well in excess of €300,000, which $350,000. I've no problem with her raising money, and if people want to give her money, off you go, fair play. But the reality is, Sister Irene refuses to accept guidance and direction. She has no canonical status. She doesn't want to engage with the church in Ireland. And, the church in Ireland is in a pretty bad state, so I can understand her. But she's not under, for example, she's not even under the Society of St. Pius X or anything like that. So she, she'll go to a different priest, or I don't know who's she with now. Is it Bishop Williamson or something like that? I don't know who she's falling under, or maybe it's the Sedevacantists. Okay, so she has, her own view on things, and she spiritually seems to be determined. Okay, I'm going to go out and do it my way. Okay, that's fine. But on a human level, on a practical level, she set up a monastery and started building without planning permission. Now, in the most first world countries, if you want to construct something, you need to get planning permission. And that's the way it works in Ireland. That's the law in Ireland. Anybody who wants to build something, you need to get planning permission. To start building something without planning permission risks you losing the money that you've used to start that building, which she did. So Sister Irene has been asking for money for years and years and years and wasting it, instead of looking for, the proper channels to do these things. I mean, there's lots of religious groups in Ireland that come, found their community, and, get up and running without all of these polemics. I can think of, for example, Egyptian Coptic nuns that have set up in Mullingar. Not Catholics at all. They come, they look for funding, they get their planning permission, and they set up their convent, and there they are, living their mission, their life. Whereas Sister Irene, for whatever reason, doesn't think that Irish law applies to her. And you may not like Irish law. Sometimes the planning permission process can be very frustrating, but there is no, she makes it out to be as if, oh, they don't want me to have this monastery. That's not the case. There is any amount of buildings she could have bought with that money in Ireland. With that money, you could have bought a farm, a small farm, a few cottages. You could have remodeled an existing building. You could have done a lot more wise use of the money. And another thing that I've noticed with Sister Irene is, she had that GoFundMe page last year. It reached €80,000. And there's different GoFundMe pages. There's different funding pages I see popping up in various locations. Now, Eric, I'll tell you a little bit about my own history. I used to be part of a organization called the Legionaries of Christ, founded by Father Martial Maciel, who I knew. And there was this kind of spirit in the Legion, because I lived it, where we thought, well, look, civil law and ecclesial law, these things don't matter to us, because we're doing this incredible mission in the church. We're renewing the faith, and the end justifies some means that could be a little bit questionable. So when we lived in Mexico, if you needed a driver's license, well, look, a couple of dollars under the table would get you a driver's license. If you needed visa, immigration issues sorted, well, look, let's go to the airport and look, a couple of dollars under the table with some official in the airport will get your passport set in order, because that's the way the legionaries operated. The end justifies means, and sometimes the ways we did things were not legal. And that doesn't that type of mentality destroys the faith in the church. It destroys trust, it destroys the faith, and we need to be very, very careful of that as Catholics. I've often over the years tried to see, look, how can I renew the faith? How can I help do the faith? But I've always taken the personal decision, any work that I did in the faith, money was not going to be something that I was going to get involved with, because, it just tarnishes your project. It just tarnishes your motives and so forth. I mean, spreading the faith has to be done with pure intention. I understand for some laymen, that dedicate their lives to spreading the faith, there is a need for financial support to help your apostolate. So, I see you have a website where you're asking your followers to pay $20 a month to get access to your content. You're obviously doing this to help fund your apostolate, which is fine, but the nuns, they will never be left wanting in Ireland. Let's face it, Sister Irene is a very nice nun, very, very nice, but I did my investigation into her, and sadly she has numerous funding channels. I mean, this is simply the fact. You can see this page set up for her, and that page set up, and that thing set up for her. And, after being in the Legions of Christ, I can smell where the money is going. I'm not saying she's corrupt. I'm just saying she's imprudent in how she's going about doing things. I haven't been able to find her registered charity in Ireland, so she doesn't give a full account of her finances. She hasn't put up, because if she was a charity, she would need to disclose her funding. She would need to disclose her expenditure. But because she's not a charity, she's not reporting to any ecclesiastical authority. The money goes in, and what happens to it, we just have to trust her. Well, I can tell you that type of attitude is what has destroyed the church. oh, she looks great. She seems to be praying great, and look, she has a beautiful oratory, and she dresses like a nun, and she looks holy, and I put my trust in her. Wrong. What Catholics need to do, and what we need to do as Catholics to move forward to reform the church, is trust but verify. This is why, for example, the Legions of Christ and others over the year, well, obviously now after the scandals and after Father Martial died, like, they've had a financial crisis. We should be transparent. If we claim to need money to evangelize, to spread the faith, then we must be open about what we're using the money for. Issue accounts, be transparent. What we're getting the money for, what we're using it for, and so forth, and build trust. We need that trust in the church today. We need transparency in the church today, not just on financial matters, but on all the various different matters as regards to abuse cases and so forth. Unless there's transparency and trust, we will never reform the faith. We will never reform the church. And you seem to be of the opinion that these nuns deserve more funding. If they had used the money that they originally had properly, working with the authorities here to get planning permission, she would not be in the state she's in. But because Sister Irene does not take direction from practically anyone, it's, she seems to have a direct line to God, and he seems to be directing her. That's a very dangerous attitude to have. We need to be very careful about that. God placed us in a church for a reason, and not everybody is corrupt in the church. Not every single bishop in the church is corrupt. If you're having, there are some good men in Ireland. There are many good priests in Ireland. And if she had engaged with them in a different way, she would find that, she would get support and help. The Latin Mass is growing in Ireland. There are various communities now, Cork, Waterford, Limerick, Athlone, Dublin, Belfast, and so forth. There are different various communities growing, saying the traditional Latin Mass, and where she could get support. But as I said, I have my suspicions about her, given what I've seen over the last number of years. She refuses to take direction. She refuses to follow, civil law as regards getting planning permission, wasting her money, and wasting money that people gave her. Trying to found a monastery without planning permission. She, had to she was sued. A lot of the money wasted on legal fees, and now she's starting again. I can tell you that there is any amount of properties around Ireland where she could have set up without all of this hassle. And she could have, remodeled an existing property, to build a church and so forth. There's lots of old old convents, she could have looked at and so forth. So anyway, Eric, I wish you all the best. I just thought I would do this video as a response to your comment on my page yesterday. I know we haven't met, and I friended you basically just to follow your work, because you're one of the main bloggers, Catholic bloggers, Catholic voices out there, and I like to listen to a different range of voices in the Catholic world, and I wish you all the best. Do I look like my dog? Well, you seem to think I do. Not my dog, actually. It's my daughter's dog, but it doesn't matter anyway. I hope your work continues. I won't be, sadly, subscribing for $20 a month to your paywall, because I think that's a bit excessive. But good luck anyway. And if other people want to, hope you all the best. Maybe for transparency, maybe you could publish your accounts as a Catholic man, and so people can see exactly what the money is being used for. And I think in the Catholic world, where there is funding, where Catholics are giving money, I think we should have transparency. I don't look for any money at all if I'm doing any type of Catholic work. I've a job, a business my own, so I make my money. I don't take any money from funding whatsoever, and that's just because I personally don't think that we should be money should be a factor that forms part of how we spread and preach the faith.
I just see that the sisters had mass with Father Paul Kramer here in Ireland, and I suppose joining up the questions around funding to the sisters, it would be good if Father Paul could also give an account of how his ministry is funded in Ireland and maybe publish the same accounts. And now, I'm not accusing the sisters or Father Paul of any crime or of embezzling money or anything like this. I'm just simply saying, if we need to reform the faith in the church, we need to trust but verify. There needs to be this openness and accountability of what money is being used for. And given the multiple funding sources that the sisters have, given that they're not a registered charity and they do not publish accounts, we need to understand, please, where and how is the money being used for? Where is it going? The sisters have been raising money for a number of years and we still don't have a convent. How is this possible? Why didn't they purchase an existing building and work from there, Again, I'm here in Ireland. This is a local issue. I've seen these sisters raising money and I've seen the comments, oh, the poor sisters, and how is it possible that they've been removed, and how is it possible that they lost their court case, etc., etc., etc. When in reality, had they been a little bit more prudent and had they looked for planning permission properly, they would have had a convent today and so forth. So I think we instead of the victim story here, which seems to be a self-inflicted story to create publicity, where is the money going? Can somebody please give an account of where the money is going? And I say this simply because, I've seen financial corruption in the church, and that financial corruption doesn't end well. It never does. And just because people are traditional, well, I can tell you, traditional Catholics or liberal Catholics, you can be corrupted the same way. Just because you're traditional and just because you use Latin doesn't mean you're immune to corruption. And questions need to be asked about Father Paul Kramer and the sisters. We simply need to know, okay, guys, you've received all this money from these various funds. I've collected all of your different fundraising events, and I don't even know what money is being given to them privately. Where is the money going? Where's the money going? You're using the Catholic brand to raise money. Can you show us where is the money going? Two sisters who have raised over 300,000 euros over the last decade or longer. Where has the money gone? What have you used it for? Who are you giving it to? And so forth. How is Father Paul Kramer being funded when he comes to Ireland? Who pays for his flights? Where does he stay? Etc. etc. Legitimate questions to ask. So, I'm just throwing this out there. You may think, look, am I slandering or accusing them? Look, I'm not looking to slander or accuse. Eric, you posted the fundraising post on your Facebook page. I commented on it. You didn't like me commenting on it. But there are legitimate questions to ask. Where is the money going? Where are the accounts for the last number of years? How much has been raised? What has the expenditure been? And so forth. Because, you cannot continue to ask relentlessly for money and not answer those questions. People have a right to know. As Catholics, who have donated, many innocently have donated to them. They have a right to know, okay, where's the money going? Who is Father Paul Kramer, and how is he involved with them? How is he funded, etc., etc. So let's have these questions. Trust but verify. I pray for you, Eric. I pray for the sisters. I pray for Father Paul. And this video really is a response to your reaction to my comment yesterday. And that's why I'm doing this video, to drive awareness that we need to trust but verify. So let's have the accounts for the sisters over the last number of years. How much money have they received? Let's let them publish their bank account details. Let's see the expenditure, and let's understand how also Father Paul Kramer's involvement. How much money has he made in all this? Because I won't be as a former legionary of Christ. I'm not naive to think we can just trust and face value. That's not how things work in the church, and how things should work in the church. We should trust but verify. And so if they continue to ask for money, we should see what the money has been used on. How much money can two women spend in a year? And it's legitimate to ask. Other convents and other charitable organisations in Ireland publish their accounts, and it's only right that the sisters do the same.